now that the Arizona Cardinals and also the Houston Texans has officially entered the race to pursue head coach Sean Payton, one had to ask one major question. Why the hell isn't Sean Payton trying to come back to the New Orleans Saints? I think I have the answer for that. I'm pretty sure some people are going to agree with me on this, and I'm quite sure there are going to be many people out there who disagree. But before I get into why I feel like Sean Payton is not in a hurry to get back to the New Orleans Saints, I need you to do me one major favor. If you believe in getting loud and also you got to fight, that means you love talking about the Pelicans, you love talking about the Saints, so we have something in common. Why don't you hit that subscribe button? And after you do that, make sure you hit that notification bell so you'll know when I go live and upload videos. And don't forget to hit that like button. Help me out with that algorithm, baby. Now, following the 2021 season, a lot of Saints fans was blindsided by the fact that Sean Payton just suddenly retired on us. We felt that we could have had Sean Payton for like another 10 years or so because he's not as old as other legendary coaches out there, right? He has some more longevity to him as far as coaching the New Orleans Saints football team as a whole, right? So Sean Payton retired on the New Orleans Saints, and many people out there just could not understand why he was under contract to 2025. Why did he walk out on the New Orleans Saints? From my observation from the 2023 season, the New Orleans Saints fan base has been absolutely toxic for the last 4 years. This thing started way back with Teddy Bridgewater. The New Orleans Saints fan base has been totally vocal about coaching decisions, about team decisions, about management positions, and I think that sometimes they don't understand that being too vocal, you can seem a little toxic. Like this past year, I made a video about this season, right? So I made a video about this past year, the New Orleans Saints season, and I pretty much proved to a lot of people out there that Andy Dalton really and truly didn't lose many games, if any, this season for the New Orleans Saints. Sure, the Arizona Cardinals game, but when it comes down to quarterback play, Andy probably lost 1, 2, maybe 3 games at best, I would say. But even though I put the stats out there, I proved my point that the guy did not play all that bad, many people out there still called him trash. Even though Andy Dalton's numbers, besides the touchdowns, are comparable to the top quarterbacks in the league, many people do not understand that they have a quarterback that's competent, that can actually run this offense. A lot of times I feel like people come in here and they bash Andy Dalton mainly because they like Jameis Winston, right? That seems a little toxic to me, right? I feel like the reason why the Saints lost this past season, it wasn't solely because of quarterback play. It was a lot of players on the field that was not executing their play all that well. It's easy for you to say that Andy Dalton didn't play all that good, but when you look at a quarterback who has 19 touchdowns, and then you look at a running back in Alvin Kamara who only has 2 rushing touchdowns, there's only one person out of those 2 who actually contribute to scoring points on the offensive side of the ball, right? So I kind of feel like Sean Payton's decision not to come back to the New Orleans Saints fan base is totally justified, because us in this fan base, we in this fan base, we can have too much criticism for a team, right? Sometimes some things may very well be a process. Sure, Payton had a winning culture here for a very long time. However, he did have, I believe, back-to-back 79 seasons. Sean Payton has missed the playoffs before in his career. He also has been pushed out of the playoffs many times in the first round as well. So when you have a season with a coach being his first year, I don't care what his record was previously before being the New Orleans Saints coach, because you need to understand those same people will come in and say Jameis Winston had a 5-2 record, but they won't bring up all of the records that he had for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers years and years and years prior to him coming to the New Orleans Saints. But I feel as if they're not giving Dennis Allen a rightful chance when it comes down to being a coach. First of all, the guy was just thrown in there out of the blue. Second of all, the guy had to deal with a quarterback situation. Thirdly, he also had to deal with injuries. And he also had to deal with players just not playing up to par on the field. I am not making excuses for him. And I know for a fact that he could coach a little bit better than this because of the talent that we have on his team can make him better in the future, right? This talent cannot be so good to where a coach can make them bad, ladies and gentlemen, right? If this talent fails on the field, it's because this talent has failed on the field, right? Think about that for a second. And when you really think about it all, people who always say that Andy Dalton didn't win anything, at least I could say that he brought his team to the playoffs 5 times. What is an indictment on Jameis Winston's career is the fact that the year after he left, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won a Super Bowl and then proceeded to go to the playoffs 2 more years after the departure. So, in other words, only one of these quarterbacks has been successful, not the major success, but only one has been successful over the vast amount of their careers, and that would be Andy Dalton. Now, I know a lot of people out there are not going to like this video because many Saints fans out there, they don't want to look in the mirror and blame themselves, right? They will sit up there and they'll push blame everywhere else. You know, like the San Francisco game, Kamara has 2 fumbles for loss in negative territory, and all of a sudden, only thing we can talk about is Andy Dalton's play, right? So it seems to me like when it comes down to players they actually like or people they actually like, they don't have as much criticism for the players or people that they don't like. That is hypocritical. And it's easily the thing that is ripping this fan base apart farther and farther each day. I'll be glad when the nightmare is over. Whether the Saints decide to go with Jameis Winston or Andy Dalton, I will still be happy because I'm a New Orleans Saints fan, and the only thing I could do is wish them well. What I'm not going to do on this channel, though, is sit around here and criticize the organization when they're trying to make decisions to win the football game. However, the players on the field does not execute as well as many people out there would hope for them to be. And that would be Alvin Kamara, Cameron Jordan, all those players. They did not perform up to par this season, ladies and gentlemen. So, long answer is the fact that the Saints fan base is toxic. The short answer will be that Sean Payton just does not want to deal with it anymore. So, you guys, let me know what you think about my stance. Let me know if you agree with what I talked about today. Do you feel like sometimes our fan base could be a little bit more toxic than other fan bases out there? Let me know in the comments below.